What's going on, everybody? Jolt here from TheTokenMinorities, and I'm here with Week 8 of PPL Division 1 Season 5. This week against Ruby, or Travis, and his Cleveland Bros. He's been one of the top teams in the league the entire season. As you can see right here from the league table in front of you, he was the last team to get his first loss. He only has 2 losses right now with a 5-2 record, and he's just right there in second place. So he is ahead of us right now by 1 game, but we did pick up a very crucial and close win last week against Jordan and his Southampton Sneasels, and we're going to be looking to continue that momentum here in this week against the Cleveland Bros. Now let's take a look at the matchup real quick, as my opponent has Tapu Koko, Ferrothorn, Pelipper, Mamoswine, Scolipede, Meloetta, Kingdra, Breloom, and Sableye, with the 2 Z-eligible Pokemon here being the Tapu Koko and the Scolipede. I didn't mention this before. Make sure to go check out my opponent's channel. It will be in the description below, along with several other PPL related links and links to the other coach's channel as well. But of course my opponent's channel is what we are focusing on here for this particular battle this week. So his team is full of threats. It's a hyper offensive draft. I think that's very clear. He only has really 3 Pokemon that can even relatively be used defensively, and I find those to be like the Pelipper, the Ferrothorn, which is pretty much always a defensive role, and the Sableye. Breloom can be defensive, Meloetta can be especially defensive. I really don't think defensive Tapu Koko or defensive Mamo is going to be a thing. You know, those aren't really likely, but for the most part, it's hyper offensive. That's really his play style. I've watched through several of his battles here recently. He really likes his hyper offense. He likes to hazard stack. He just likes to keep on the pressure. So in my building, I need to make sure to address that without losing to the rain option, of course, there in the Pelipper plus Kingdra. Now, the good news is with this team matchup that my team matches up pretty well naturally against rain, especially Kingdra, as I do have things like the Decidueye, the Registeel, the Keldeo to really abuse the rain, as well as the Mega Slowbro, and kind of the Sligoof. He doesn't bring dragon coverage. I have a lot of ways to really take advantage of the rain, I feel, and for that reason I think bringing the rain is a little unlikely. At least bringing Kingdra. He might bring rain to just give him support for things like his Ferrothorn, all of his fire weaknesses. He has a lot of fire weaknesses, so I would not be surprised to see the Pelipper just for that support, but I'm not really convinced that Kingdra is likely to come, especially when things like Tapu Koko, Mamoswine, Scolipede, and Breloom are all so good at breaking down my team. I would be less surprised to see something like Tapu Koko, Ferrothorn for the hazards, maybe Pelipper, Mamo, Scolipede, and Breloom as his 6th Pokemon this week, leaving the Sableye, the Kingdra, and the Meloetta on the bench. Meloetta could definitely be swapped in there with something, but I really don't think that Kingdra is one of his best options here against my team. So with that in mind, given that this matchup is quite volatile with him being a hyper-offensive team, that's not really a surprise. I am going to build in such a way that directly counters hyper offense. Now the issue with that is that type of play style is a little weaker to rain. That type of building is a little weaker to rain because rain typically beats offense, and you, in my opinion, if you don't have weather as an option, you need to beat offense with offense. I don't really think out-bulking offense is the best way to go personally, because that raises the chance of getting hacks, that raises the chance of him just bringing the proper sets to break down proper walls. I feel like you're more in control of the game if you're able to deal with offense in a more offensive way. And I want to give a little credit to my buddy Tone here in my front office for this idea, but the style of team that I'm building here for this game, I'm going to go ahead and give it a name, and I'm probably going to use it more in the future because I kind of like the name, and it's Hyper Defense. So I'm building Hyper Defense here this week, meaning I am directly combating a most likely hyper offensive build of my opponent. So Hyper Defense is the name of the game here, and I have several threats that I should be able to abuse here using that play style. So some of the notable threats on his team, I've already kind of talked about this, but Tapu Koko is able to revenge pretty much all of my walls. Not really Registeel too much, but it does do a lot to Registeel, and Registeel cannot OHKO with anything. So Tapu Koko is certainly a bit annoying for my team, especially if it happens to carry either the Nature's Madness or the Guardian of Alola, being able to break down any of my potential switch-ins. If he's Choice Banded, that could be really annoying, as well as all of my best switch-ins, not really all of them, but a lot of my best switch-ins to it are pretty weak to things like Brave Bird and just boosted U-turns, so that could be kind of annoying, but I really do think that at the very least he's going to be mixed because of Mega Slowbro, so probably mixed Koko. I'm expecting U-turn, I'm expecting maybe Brave Bird for Decidueye, and I think Dazzling Gleam and T-Bolt are his other options most likely. he brings Coco. Nature's Madness, of course, is always an option there as well, but I really do think Coco is going to come, and as a result, I need to prep around that very carefully because my team is kind of body bagged by Coco if I'm not careful. So I'll talk more about what I'm going to do here for that shortly. But other big threats, Mamoswine is an enormous threat to my team. Almost everything on my team is either weak to ice or ground, with the only exceptions, the most notable exception being Mega Slowbro. But of course, Mamoswine has access to Freeze Dry and is able to 2-hit KO unboosted Mega Slowbro with Freeze Dry. So that could also be pretty annoying for my team, making Mega Slowbro honestly not a counter to Mamoswine. And if the Mega Bro isn't really a counter to Mamoswine, only really is good for Kingdra in that case, and even then is not great against Vex Kingdra, Mega Slowbro might actually not come in this game. And spoilers, I'm not going to bring it, as I don't think it's really very beneficial enough to me for the type of style that I want to play this with, as being hyper defense. Mega Slowbro really doesn't fit under that mold, and I will explain more what I mean by hyper defense here whenever I get into my team. But the Scolipede is also a big threat. Just outright, if I don't bring Resist Berries, I don't have anything for it at all, so I do have to bring Resist Berries to deal with it, or just bring certain sets that are able to take specific hits that allow me to lure it in, which I will talk about here soon as well, but that is a pretty big threat to me. Combine Meloetta is kind of annoying, but I have ways to offensively check it, and the Breloom is the other big threat here to my team, as it just body bags me, honestly. If it's Adamant Life Orb or even Banded, I don't have switch-ins to that. Breloom is really good, and it's going to be a challenge to work my way around that, but he does have so many ways to really abuse Mega Slowbro, especially the Scolipede, the Coco, and the Breloom that the rest of my team doesn't want to switch into. It just really convinces me to not want to bring it at all, but I do have a lot of good threats against him. Keldeo great in the rain. Thundurus just destroys him. Even Drapion is pretty good to an extent because it hardwalls Sableye if it runs Prankster, so that's pretty cool. Clefable also bodies him. I'm just going to jump on over to the team builder now so you can see what I'm building this whole team around, and that is the Clefable, as he has only one Pokemon on his entire team that can beat this set 1v1, and that is the Sableye. And yeah, I don't really think Sableye is coming. Looking at the matchup, Sableye is awful because I do have both the Drapion and the Clefable, which theoretically hard wall Sableye, and he could try to maybe bring it for Will-O-Wisps against my Diggersby, but I just don't think that's worth the move slot when he has other means of dealing with me with priority, like Mach Punch, Breloom, Ice Shard, Mamo. It just doesn't make much sense to me for him to want to bring Sableye for that purpose either, so I really don't think Sableye is coming, and this set abuses that, as here I have enough defense investment to be able to survive an Adamant Life or Poison Jab from the Scolipede without any Cosmic Power boost. But if I do have a Cosmic Power boost, I'm actually also able to survive an Adamant Acid Downpour from the Scolipede, of course unboosted, but still, I feel like that could be really important because I plan to set up on the Ferrothorn with this. I think Ferrothorn is actually 100% coming, and if it doesn't, then I can also try to set up on other weaker things on his team. I might have to knock off an item or something to be able to set up on something, but maybe even set up on Breloom, for example. But even if he brings nothing at all for me to set up on, I do have the Psyche MZ, which allows me to fire off a 160 base power stored power without any boost needed whatsoever, which will OHKO the Scolipede and will do a ton of damage to Breloom, might even OHKO it if it's not invested at all in its bulk. So this set is super good against him. I can just abuse the Ferrothorn, and if he honestly makes one mistake with Ferrothorn against this, maybe trying to set up rocks, or setting up a Toxic or something, thinking that I am an unaware variant, then I'll probably have 2 Cosmic Powers, and at that point he needs a crit to be able to kill this. I will sweep his entire team if he doesn't get a crit, if I'm able to get up to +2 on the Ferrothorn. That is almost a promise, honestly, unless he just has some sort of phenomenal way of dealing with it. I really do think it requires hacks to get around this set, so this is super solid against him for sure, and excited to see how this does. So next up is the Drapion. I brought this set mainly because my Clefable's not able to beat Sableye, so I wanted to bring something that definitely could beat the Sableye, even though I don't think it's coming. I don't want to go in unprepared for something. So this is just a bulky set, Dual Stab, Taunt, and Toxic Spikes. His team is very, very weak to hazards, and I think there's a good chance Clefable will be able to lure in the Scolipede, so I might be able to get my Toxic Spikes on something like the Ferrothorn afterwards. This also allows me to have a decent initial switch into the Breloom, which is otherwise a pretty big threat to me. I do have the Decidueye that I'll show here soon. That'll also be able to check it pretty well, but I wanted to have at least another potential switch into it, so I'm not just recklessly switching in a Decidueye on Breloom, because Decidueye's natural bulk is not exactly great on the defensive side, or at least on the physically defensive side. So this helps with that for sure. It also is able to taunt and maybe deter the hazards a little bit from the Ferrothorn, which I would expect to be maybe the most likely initial switch into this. This also lets me check a Meloetta that is speed creeping and max speed Diggersby as well. I really do think he's going to speed creep. He's not really known for speed creeping too much from what I've heard, but I really do think he would speed creep Diggersby with Meloetta if he brings it, because Meloetta is more naturally bulky. It would really benefit from having the extra HP investment, I believe. So that's the thought on this set. Overall, pretty strong against him. Not going to win me the game, but it might be able to help put me in a really good position to do so later on. So next up is the Diggersby. This is my dedicated switch into the Tapu Koko. Obviously, this is not a forever switch in, but it doesn't need to be. This is just a way to abuse him if he ever decides to click an electric move against my team, or even just Dazzling Gleam or something. As with max HP or near max HP here, I'm able to chew any hit from Koko, no matter what it is. I can chew it, and I'll be able to dish off a Banded Earthquake. Yes, I only have 68 EVs in attack, but that's fine. It still does a million to pretty much anything on his team. Oko's Scolipede. Oko's just a lot of stuff. And yeah, if he gives me a free switch in, it's a kill. Pretty much, that's all there is to it. This will just help me break down things, and most importantly, have that nice banded quick attack in the back to help deal with the Kingdra. Once I get it in range, helps me deal with maybe a Scolipede if he happens to crit my Fable, or happens to break through me in other ways with other mons. The quick attack could certainly be of use there. This is outspeeding a max speed Breloom. I really think is going to be adamant, but just in case he is jolly, I want to make sure that I have a way to check that as well. So this is just super good against him. It also has U-turn in case I need to get that momentum if it's a little bit of an ambiguous play. U-turn's probably the best middle ground. But yeah, so this is just a really good way to just pick up some cheap kills. This team has no bulk, and if he just lets me get a free switch in on top of Koko at any time, that's exactly what this will do. So next up is the Keldeo. Due to the speed tiers on his team, I'm actually able to easily run Modest Keldeo, which allows me to still outpace a max speed Meloetta, I believe, even a max speed Scarfed Meloetta. So this is super, super good against him, especially if the rain is up, as if the rain is up, then Hydro Pump just kills so many things. Secret Sword basically kills the rest. HP Electric there for the Pelipper, and I can really just spam Surf, honestly. Hydro Pump is just there in case I need to net a KO on a healthier Tapu Koko, as of course with the Choice Scarf I'll be able to do that. I do need a little bit of chip on him though to be able to make sure he's in range, but when I do expect him to be a mixed Tapu Koko, most likely, that means that he has to choose between minus defense or minus Spadef. I think minus Spadef is more likely because of quick attack Diggersby, so this would actually be able to do just straight Okos after rocks with Hydro Pump, so even outside of the rain. So that could be really nice to pick off that threat and free up the other mons on my team a little bit. So yeah, pretty good against him overall. Not a whole lot else to say. This could easily be the win con, especially if he decides to give me some rain to boost me a little bit. So next up is the Registeel. This is Stealth Rock, Toxic Counter, and Earthquake. This is my lure for Mamoswine. One of my lures, I guess this is my primary lure for it, but I have a few ways to really help me deal with Mamoswine, I feel. But really the game plan is just to get set up with Clefable before anything else is a concern to me, because Cobbling Power is just so good against offensive builds when they don't have something insane like a Mega Beedrill or Kartana to blow me back. Shoutouts to Jack. But yeah, so this is really good against him, just a specially defensive variant to help me take hits from a variety of threats on his team. Most of his team is specially offensive, if I recall correctly, so that does help quite a bit. Toxic is mainly there for the Pelipper, Counter for the Mamoswine, and potentially the Scolipede, and Earthquake to help me hit the top of Koko, as well as generally just damage his team, things like Ferrothorn and stuff like that. And of course Stealth Rocks to just help get things in range of my Diggersby's quick attack or Keldeo's Surf or whatever late game. So also really good against him overall, I feel. And I think there's a pretty good chance this will be able to lure in the Mamo, as Mamo is probably going to be 4 attacks. I think it needs 4 attacks against me, and knowing that I don't really have an Earthquake switch in, at least at face value on this team, I really think this will lure in Mamo. So I think that's pretty good overall here as well. And finally we have the Decidueye, which is just a freaking weird set. It is Scarf, which is not really a surprise, but I'm only 36 attack investment and 220 defense, and then max speed to help me speed tie max speed Breloom. Defog to get rid of the potential hazard stack option, as I really do think that's a possibility, and this might just bail me out on that. But the Choice Scarf I felt was pretty necessary to make sure that I can always check Breloom, as SD Breloom, stuff like that. It's just so annoying for my team to deal with, so I needed to have something to really make sure I could beat that. That's where Brave Bird comes in. Brave Bird also lets me hit an unboosted Scolipede for a lot of damage, and then the combination of Leaf Blade and Spear Check hits everything else really hard as well. The defense investment allows me to actually survive an Adamant Banded Ice Shard from Mamoswine at full health. Kind of a weird thing to go for, but it also does help with potential switch-ins to Breloom at any point in the game, as obviously having that little bit of extra bulk could really come in handy there, I feel. and a standard Scarf Decidueye. Considering I do need max speed to be able to speed tie the Breloom, I didn't feel really had enough bulk to do the job that I needed it to do. So that's the team. I do feel confident in the team, just based upon what I feel is the most likely team for him to bring. If he brings Rain with Kingdra, it might get a little dicey. We'll see on that. I felt like this was a risk I needed to take, though, and that I really don't think he's going to bring Kingdra. And even if he does, I do have a few things to help me beat it, but most notably, Clefable is the early game win con, honestly, versus Rain. If he brings that, I think I need to set up Clefable really early if he does bring the Rain, just because it has the potential to blow me back if I'm not able to take out a few team members before he gets that momentum from the Rain. So we'll see on that, but I think that's about all I wanted to say on this. We're just about to hop on over into the battle, so I'll be doing that here shortly, and I will bring you the live com, or not the live com, sorry if that got you all excited. I'll bring you the the post com here in a bit after the battle is done, and wish me luck, I guess. So I'll be right back with that. Alright, and here we are with the battle against Ruby, and he decided to bring his Mamoswine, Tapu Koko, Ferrothorn, Breloom, Kingdra, and the Scolipede, while I brought the Keldeo Decidueye, Drapion, Clefable, Registeel, and Diggersby. Now, I do want to say before we jump into this any further, you may have already noticed this, or maybe not if the second part hasn't quite been uploaded yet, but this upload is split into two parts. And the reasoning behind this is, after this match, I was insanely salty. Okay, insanely salty, because I do lose this game. And I apologize for the spoiler, but I needed to say that now because it otherwise doesn't make sense why I uploaded two videos on this. So, this video, this narration of the post-com, is going to be, I guess, the more well-informed commentary over this battle, the more accurate commentary, and the other video that is uploaded is just my salty initial reaction right after the battle. And essentially I just wanted to vent my frustrations after the battle and just record immediately because I thought it'd be pretty funny for people to watch later on, and it's pretty funny in my opinion, so I do recommend you go take a look at that if you want to see me at my saltiest right after the battle. But there is some misinformation in that battle that I wanted to, or in that narration, that I wanted to clear up with a more proper narration here for the official PPL upload for this week. But I do recommend, if you want to get a little bit of humor, to take a look at that other part. That will be linked in the description below, and if you're subbed to me, you should also see it in your sub box shortly following this video. So with that said, let's go ahead and hop on into this commentary. So I already mentioned the Pokemon he brought, and just in looking at the lead matchups, I know that Keldeo is always my best lead against him because he's most likely to lead Mamoswine against my team whenever, at face value, my entire team is body bagged by Mamoswine. So it just makes a lot of sense for him to lead Mamo. There's also a chance it could be a lead Rocker, so it just makes a lot of sense for me to lead off with my Keldeo here, and I just have proper responses to really his entire team if that is, or if I do lead Keldeo, regardless of what he leads with. So let's go ahead and hop on into this, and I'll try to highlight the points where there is misinformation in the other commentary. So really, I highly recommend you check out both of these videos. So we're going to go ahead and jump on into this, as Ruby will issue the challenge, and you will see here shortly that he is actually going to lead off with his Mamoswine. So the Keldeo lead was definitely the best choice for me there, and that leaves me with essentially a 50-50 of sorts as to whether or not I go for a water move or a fighting move. The fighting move in Secret Sword is my best option on turn 1 because he is most likely to go straight into a hazard setter, and with how good offensive Scolipede is against me in this game, I really don't think that'll be a hazard setter. It's probably going to be the Ferrothorn. So I am just going to fire off a Secret Sword as he does go into his Ferrothorn, so we get that prediction correct early in the game, which does put us actually in a really good position, because as you can see from this damage, it looks like there's a decent chance that a second Secret Sword might be able to take him out, but that's not a risk I'm willing to take at this stage of the game, when I do still have the Clefable that can pretty much just for free switch in on this, and honestly set up in its face, because there's absolutely nothing a Ferrothorn can do that can stop this Clefable set once I get +1 Cosmic Power. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to click Cosmic Power here on the Ferrothorn just to see what he can do. I'm assuming he's going to have Iron Head or Gyro Ball, maybe even Toxic if he thinks I might be unaware, and he does actually just go straight for the Iron Head here, and as you can see, it's going to do like what does it look like, 35%? Basically nothing, which is pretty good. That basically means this is just setup fodder. I am just going to soft-boiled up here, knowing that I have enough defense now, such that I'll be able to deal with any of his initial responses to this. I don't want to leave myself weak and go for a second boost right away, because then he could potentially go like hard skull up, he can take me out with an acid downpour, and that's not really good for me at all. So I am just going to soft-boiled up, and I'm going to soft-boiled again here on the Mammoth Swine, as he is likely to reveal whatever his best possible option is to be able to break my Clefable. Turns out to be Life Orb Earthquake, and from that damage I don't think that's adamant unless it was a low roll, but I might be wrong on that. But regardless, it does less than half, and that means this is setup fodder. So that's pretty convenient there. I'm going to be able to click Cosmic Power again here, and he seems intent on staying in and clicking Earthquake, trying to break me down. But that is a losing battle for him ultimately, unless he starts using Icicle Crash to flinch me, unless he just actually gets a crit with Earthquake. This is a losing battle for him, and I'm going to be able to get up to +2 defense, +2 SPDF. So Clefable actually is looking like it could potentially sweep his entire team at this point, because he just didn't bring much for it. He's already let me get 2 boosts, and now he goes into Linny, which is his Ferrothorn again. So now I'm like, okay, you're just going to give me another boost. That sounds pretty good. I'll take that. So I'm going to go up to +3/+3 from the Cosmic Power, boosting my defenses once again here on this following turn, as he's actually going to fire off a Toxic, I guess not knowing that if I've already revealed Soft Boiled, I can't possibly be unaware. That's fine, just future knowledge, I guess, for him. But yeah, so he fires off the Toxic, I get up another Cosmic Power, and now I can chew from anything on his team. Very well. Anything unless it gets a crit or a series of flinches, essentially. So I right now I'm thinking, okay, maybe Clef just 6-0s his team. That'd be pretty cool. +6 would be great for the little differential. But here he goes into his Kingdra, and I'm going to fire off a Calm Mind on that switch, because I want to start boosting my offenses to be able to do more with Store Power, and as well as have that option of a boosted Z move if push comes to shove. Although at this point I believe they're pretty similar in base power, which is pretty cool. Now here he's going to go for a Surf. The damage revealing that he is either modest, unboosted, no boosting item with min roll, or he is timid with a mid roll from that Surf. So that's pretty important information to have here, as I do fire off a Store Power to get some nice damage off on it. Unfortunately not able to take him out quite yet, but here I am going to Calm Mind once more just to make sure I can OHKO other things on his team, as with +2 special attack, Store Power becomes way stronger. So here, I don't know, here's kind of a tricky play. I could have gone for a Store Power just to make sure I could take this thing out, knowing because I'm +3 defenses, I don't have to fear anything from this, as then I wouldn't be risking the potential of Focus Energy here that you see from this Kingdra. But because he revealed Focus Energy, that means he's a Sniper Kingdra. And the misinformation in my other upload, it kind of stems from this, in that it was basically, if he got a critical hit after the Focus Energy boost, the Sniper, from a timid max special attack Surf, it would have left my Clefable in a range where I would be within the radius of a roll from an Adamant Scollipede's Poison Jab, from a Mammoth Swine's Life Orb Earthquake. It would have left me in a position where he could get a roll and take me out. So that's why I switched out Clefable on that turn, and I do think that was actually the right play. I was really pissed at myself about that play in the other commentary, and I was right after the battle too, but after looking more at the damage calcs, I think that was actually the right play in switching out Clefable. And the real misplays in this battle on my end came here in the plays following that I will talk about here when we get to them. So here, he has his Tapu Koko in after I revenge the Kingdra with my Keldeo, but with Kingdra gone, that means once again Clefable can definitely win the game. Kingdra was his only way to beat me, and I'm really surprised he actually chose to sack it off there. I found that very interesting, but I will explain, I guess, why or how I had made a big mistake here later in the game that causes me to lose. So here I just go into my Diggersby on the Koko. He's a Calm Mind variant with a Shoka Berry. That's fine, good prep on his part. What this does, though, the Earthquake damage, because I am Choice Banded, despite my minimal attack investment, this puts him in range of a Quick Attack quite easily, as well as in range, excuse me, of 2 rounds of Stealth Rock. So if I can get Stealth Rock up, that would help a lot versus this thing as well. Plus, I still have 2 Scarfers in my Decidueye and in my Keldeo. Is here, I'm going to fire off another Earthquake, as he thinks that the damage roll indicates I'm not banded due to my low attack investment, and he was, I guess, predicting a quick attack there, so cool on him. But here, I either should have taken out the Ferrothorn with an Earthquake or gone hard into Clefable. That was a misplay on my end, as I just go hard Drapion trying to deter hazards, but in my best interest, I actually should have just gone hard Clefable and taken my second opportunity opportunity to set up, because he had already proven that he has absolutely no way to deal with a +1/+1 defenses Clefable with the Kingdra gone. I should have gone hard Clefable there, and instead I just kind of mess around with this Ferrothorn, not really getting anything accomplished, and he's just going to continue whittling down my team, getting up his hazards once this taunt wears off, and essentially making my Diggers be useless unless I can get a defog off with the Decidueye. So I just really played around this Ferrothorn super poorly, not taking advantage of it at the proper times. I think I played very well up until the point where I switched out Clefable versus the Kingdra. I think that was the correct play. I'm not going to say now, after thinking about this a little bit more, that switching out Clefable was the wrong play. I think that was the right play, because I would have been left in range of other things, and I needed Clefable at full health to be able to lure in the Scolipede. Considering my team really didn't have much of anything to deal with the Scolipede. I needed to be able to chip it down and then revenge off with Diggersby or lure it in with the Clefables. So I really needed Clefable around. Switching out was the right play there, as now essentially what I'm going to do is seal my own demise in this game by taking out this Ferrothorn with my Registeel instead of with my Clefable or with my Diggersby, because he is going to be able to sack this thing off for free and go straight into his Scolipede. Despite the fact that we're at a 6-4 advantage here, with this Ferrothorn going down, he is able to go into his Scolipede immediately, and because he has Superpower as his super effective coverage move instead of Earthquake to help deal with this Registeel, he's actually going to be able to set up in my face. He's not Life Orb, he's not going to weaken himself down and take himself out with Recoil. He's already put up 3 layers of spikes now because I allowed him to do it instead of just aggressively going into Clef, or instead of just taking Ferrothorn out immediately with my Diggersby. Man, such a bad misplay on my part, but so I'm going to essentially be in a position where I'm forced to keep spamming Earthquake here, regardless of if he has his own Earthquake. My best play is to keep clicking Earthquake until he is at +4, because it's very obvious to me that he's going to go for 2 Swords Dances here in a row, trying to at least have a chance to potentially break through a Sugar Berry if he is Earthquake. So I do think 2 Swords Dances is his play, as I'm just going to go for 2 Earthquakes of my own, and if he is an Earthquake Scolipede, Adamant, I don't believe he even needs a Life Orb. No, he does need a Life Orb to even have a chance to take my Registeel out from this range through my Sugar Berry, but even then it's a very low chance, if any at all, and he actually reveals to not have a Life Orb at all, like I already said before, so he would not have been able to take me out if he was Earthquake. So that was kind of what I was playing to here by killing off the Ferrothorn with the Registeel. I wanted to lure in the Mamoswine, preferably, but he was a little too smart for that. He just went for game with the Scolipede, which does make sense considering he was not an Earthquake Scolipede. So he did very clearly, I think, predict the Shuka Registeel in his prep, which is good on him. That's fine, but it's just unfortunate for me, obviously, as now we're about to go from a 6-4 advantage to getting 4-0'd by the Scolipede. So yeah, not a whole lot more I think I could have done once I made that series of misplays around the Ferrothorn. I really needed to have my Diggersby available to revenge this thing. As you can see, it's easily in range of a Banded Quick Attack, and if I just denied the Ferrothorn that 3rd spike, or even the 2nd spike, which I could have done pretty easily, or just set up with Clefable in its face, I would have been fine. But the fact of the matter is, I did not play around that well at all. I think I just got a little bit flustered, honestly, after seeing the Focus Energy, because in the middle of the battle, like right after I switched out the Clefable versus the Kingdra, I started kind of panicking a little bit. I'm like, wait, did I just make the biggest choke of my life? Why did I switch out there? And that's because I was looking at calcs, and I wasn't calcing or considering Sniper. I know Kingdra gets Sniper, but when I was making the calcs, I did not have Sniper in the calcs, so I was seeing the damage from a crit Surf. I'm like, wow, I should have stayed in. This does nothing to me. I'm dumb. No, that was actually the right play. So my initial intuition was correct in switching out, but I was still panicking after that play a little bit because I thought I'd just thrown away all my momentum, which I did throw away my momentum, but it's really on me for not recovering well enough in this battle, as I definitely could have recovered much cleaner after having to switch out Clefable. It was definitely still a winnable game at that point. It still could have been a clean differential. Definitely not a 6-0 like I would have, like I was implying it could have been in my other commentary, but probably more like a 2 or a 3-0 at that point, maybe a 4-0 if Clefable was able to just sweep immediately there by switching into Ferrothorn. Could have been a 6-0 as well, because I think at that point I think I did still have all 6 of my lines available at that point, but it would have been unlikely, I think, to be able to pull off an entire sweep with Clef, just because flinches exist, crits exist, but you never really know. It was definitely a possibility, but just overall a very poorly played game on my end, I think, from the point of switching Clef out onward. Switching Clef out was the right play, like I said, but playing around the Ferrothorn was really, really poor. But as soon as the Kingdra was gone, I should have known that Clefable could have just won the game, because it was likely that he would potentially go hard Scolipede, honestly, versus my Clef once I got it in against the Ferrothorn. He could have gone hard into Mammo. That would have been a play he could have made and just gone for flinches. And that would not have been a bad play, honestly. But I think it might be... It's tricky, because he also could have just tried to set up his layers and then try to crit me and win with Scolipede that way. So there's a lot of things that could have happened in this battle if it had been played correctly on my end. But the fact of the matter is, I did not play well at all past the midway point in this match. And as a result, we lose the game. So a little unfortunate there. We do drop to a 4-4 record with -2 differential, which really sucks considering I do strongly think I could have come up with a high differential win if I had played with Clefable properly, especially because he let the Kingdra go down so early to my Keldeo. So that's obviously on me. Something to learn from, I guess. I'm going to try to adjust how I approach my battles here in the future. I think I've been making far too many silly mistakes, both in the PPL and in the NPL last season. A couple of these PPL games I really don't think I should have lost. Like this one, I don't think I should have lost. I don't think I should have lost against Paul, but I played really badly. I don't really think I should have lost against Jack either, but... You know, it is what it is. We could have a much better record than we do right now, but nothing to hang my head about either. We're just going to try to improve and learn from it in the upcoming weeks. So I hope you enjoyed this slightly more tame commentary compared to what you might see in the other parts of this commentary. But I do just recommend you go check that out if you want to get a good laugh out of seeing me at my saltiest. I do think you would enjoy that. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. Good game to my opponent. He did play very well overall. Only misplay, only big misplay, I think. I guess 2 that I might find a little questionable, where it was going for Toxic against Clef after already revealing Soft Boiled. That's one. The other one was letting Kingdra go down when it really did look like it was his only way to stop my Clefable. I thought that was interesting that he sacked it, but maybe he had another plan up his sleeve. Maybe he was just willing to bank on flinches with Mammo. Maybe he had like Taunt on his Coco. I'm not really sure. Maybe going for a crit with Life Orb Breloom. I don't know. It was just a shit show for me, pardon my language. But yeah, we're going to wrap this up here. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you all next week as we take on Baby Eric and his Seattle Onyx. It's a tricky matchup once again. He's got some really tough speed tiers for my team to deal with, so that will be a challenge to say the least. But I will see you all then. Peace.